Welcome to the Game Changer 00100 show. I'm your host, Game Changer. And something interesting just happened. Ah, crap. Um, in addition to what's happening now. Oh, wow, that happened. So something else interesting just happened. I was online talking to someone that I had just met from Colombia. So many of you may recall, maybe like 5, 6 months ago, I had created a like Columbia dating app just to show Jessica the difference between American women and Colombian women, like physically, what they look like. So I use my Game Changer email address, and I also use my Game Changer username and password, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, I guess she's watching right now. Um, Hold on one second. And yeah, so I had met a chick on there just now. I normally just went to look at the pictures, and nobody really writes me because I didn't use my picture or anything like that. I just used the chess pieces that you see. And this chick started writing me, and she said, do you think technology has ruined the world or made people lazy? Is what she said. And I just started writing back, and we did a dialogue. So I asked her if she wants to be on my show, and I sent her the link. So she's looking at it now, and she might come up sometime. Who knows? All right. So anyway, I'm going to finish that thing that I was doing. What was the day before yesterday? All right. So let me get that over with. Now, keep in mind that I didn't actually get a chance to watch anything past the 38th minute. So I'm going to watch it along with you and see how it goes. All right. So let me go to minute 38.
A lot of black women have to deal with that double. Even once you do love yourself, going out into the world where other people don't necessarily do it, and that has to take up a certain psychic energy. That has to take its toll on your mental health overall. So we're talking mental health issues. We're also talking real survival issues, job opportunities, marriage opportunities, right? Police violence, domestic violence. We're talking about healthcare and being
Okay. So what she's doing is she's taking pretty privilege and making a case for ugly oppression. As we discussed before, there are certain privileges that comes for a woman with being pretty. But now she's trying to say if you are absent these privileges, she's basically saying that these privileges are a right. And if you take this right away from me, then it is the equivalent to violence, police bashing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But this is a right that she feels that every black woman should have. Let's continue.
Treated differently if you're darker skinned. Like all of these real repercussions, these real ways that women struggle because they're living in a world of anti-blackness, and in a world where anti-blackness, I think, at this point in time, is actually being amplified instead of subdued.
Okay, thank you, Aisha. And just
the truth of the matter is, society has tried everything in its power, and the collective power of the most powerful, at least militarily speaking, nation in the world to suppress racism, or what she calls anti-blackism. Now, I want to just speak on that for a second. Racism is something different than anti-blackism. Anti-blackism is something that you would say it's racism that only applies to you. Like you really don't care about the racism that applies to others but you, is really what that's saying. Which in and of itself is a form of racism. Hold on one second. All let's continue.
Small question. When you say amplified, what do you mean?
Well, I think number one, like I said, because I think colorism was going to almost replace racism as the primary way that we begin to catalog, which women are better than others and oppress people of color. But two, social media is amplifying the impact. It used to be colorism was your aunt who didn't know any better telling you not to go be out in the sun too much. But now you're seeing it, on social media. It's amplified in the sense that women, I think, Black women have always dealt with colorism, but now I think we're really feeling the effects even more than previous generations.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Thank you. Donovan, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, really briefly.
Okay, so once again, they bring up racism, but then they talk about it as it only affects them. Racism is only a dark-skinned Black girl phenomenon. And I think that that's a very unfair and really just downright selfish view of it. Because not only is it trivial in the sense that you're really just talking about pretty privilege that some of you may not have access to compare it to things like lynching, job discrimination, et cetera, is very, very, how can I say, childish. But you only see the world as it affects yourself. And maybe, just maybe, that is what people believe is not attractive about you, not the color of your skin.
Just literally, Aisha took some of the words out of my mouth, but one thing that I'm concerned about that I can see happening more of is competition amongst women and the division amongst women. Just like if you go in some of the comment sections of, some of these.
Okay. Oh, crap. Competition is something that women are always going to do. Like, that is what women who understand that they have a man worth competing for does. I mean, that's what men and women do. I don't really think that it's the fact that it is a competition that's bothering them. I think the fact that they're losing the competition is what's really getting to them.
Videos that glorify light-skinned women sometimes, or even dark-skinned women, where people are giving dark-skinned women props. You'll see people say really outrageous things in the comment section. And I try not to take the digital world too seriously because I know people get extra hype and extra, balls when they see that no one can see them. But what I do see is that it spills over into real life. When you talk about opportunities, I'm taking it really basic, like even in the island of Jamaica, and we talk about bleaching. There's a lot of competition amongst women for opportunities. And that's what drives a lot of women to go ahead and do the bleaching.
You see what he said? He's saying opportunities. Take special note to that. That's what they see beauty as, opportunity. They see it as an opportunity for job placement. They see it as an opportunity for just this safety net, which they call, relationships, or getting the bag, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. None of these quote unquote opportunities, if given to an unqualified woman, benefits us as men. This is an opportunity. An opportunity is a means to an end. Now, I could see if they were saying an opportunity to get married, have children, live happily ever after, white picket fence, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I could see if they were saying that type of opportunity, but they're not. This is just about getting more online attention. Okay, so somebody says they mean more opportunities in dating. Really, do they? Because she didn't really list that, but let's go with that for a second. How many opportunities does a person need? Let's just say a person creates, a woman, an average looking woman creates an online account, an online dating profile. And she gets more than 7 opportunities a week. How many does she need, really? Most women, even average women here in the States, have more options than they have days in the week.
And to do the augmentation so that they can survive. We've spoken about that. But these are grown women that we're often talking about. Now, I'm thinking about the little girls, right? Like, I'm thinking about the young girls who are coming up and seeing what the boy is like, or seeing what's getting a lot of attention. And how can you have an internal experience where you're questioning yourself and not have an experience that externally expresses itself, whether that be jealousy, whether that be saying unkind things, whether that feel like, yo, I can't talk to that girl because she thinks that she's all that. I've heard a lot of these things. I've seen a lot of these things. And I'm worried that for younger minds in such a big, large playing field like social media, they can get lost. And I don't know if there are enough safeguards for a lot of these young girls in terms of helping them understand and contextualize a lot of what they're seeing. And the competition that exists. And then also, like, for women, like, do women also then perpetuate this, right? As a result of drinking the Kool-Aid. So I think, like, you know, that's a part of the concern that happens in the shadows, how women internalize this, how they treat each other, and then what happens to young girls as well. It's like,
okay, this is more to the effect that women shouldn't have to compete. It should just be given to them. This is more of the welfare mentality that we talk about often here.
I'm really concerned about that.
Yeah, I agree, because I kind of feel like, and this, to my matrix point too, is like, if we as people don't say no, it's just going to keep being negative. Like, at some point, everybody kind of has to rise up.
Yeah, the 4th of July apparently didn't end, you know, what was it, 6-7 days ago? So, yeah, they decide to, I don't know, pop their remaining fireworks or whatnot. You know, we always were young once.
Just be like, nah, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's the power, and that's how we break out of the quote unquote matrix. Go ahead and check you.
So 2 things. One, it is a privilege to be able to break out the matrix in the current space. I think we forget how difficult it is. So like you said, it does become lonely, it does become insular. But many times when you break out the matrix, you're not alone. You have at least some friend or family that has similar mindsets along with you. For a lot of us, that's not the case at all. And for a lot of people who are engaging in, like, once again, beauty politics, desirability politics, disposability politics, if you want to get married, if marriage is a really big thing to you, you're going to engage in whatever it takes to navigate these politics to your benefit. And if that includes doing some type of cosmetic change, you're going to do it because this is what you significantly want in your life. It is a part of your aspirations. And we can talk about what we...
Okay, I get that, but I don't think that you are necessarily in danger of not getting married. There is something deeper to what you want. I want you to discuss that.
What is successful? What does it mean to be successful? What does it mean successful? Which is another conversation. But at the end of the day, unattractive people who are unattractive who are perceived as unattractive, or who are perceived as ugly, are disposed in our society. And it is very difficult to step outside of that when you are simply looking, and survival is different various ways. We tend to look at survival as simply meaning to live. It is actually...
Okay. What she's describing is true. People who are deemed unattractive are disposed of by her. If you were to place her on a lie detector and ask her what percentage of guys do she feel is not attractive enough to get with her, I'm sure that she will say above 50%. The fair question to ask in this scenario is, how many guys have you disposed of? You said being ugly in this society or being unattractive in this society gets you disposed of, and something should be done about that. But what should be done for the guys that you dispose of because of their looks? Just asking.
The ability to thrive as well too. You cannot always thrive in a society that's telling you you aren't valued. So what do you do? Look for ways to find value. So like, as somebody who has stepped out the matrix for much of the part, like, I can recognize what society looks at me and I can step away out of it. and realize that it doesn't have like it doesn't define me. I have also recognized that as a privilege for me to be able to do that, and I have surrounded myself with people who have been able to do the same. That's why I've been able to walk in the walk that I have. Otherwise, I would be just like a lot of other women, and it's not a fault of their own, and I don't want us to continuously find it. It's like, and I know people aren't intentionally doing it, but I don't want us to continuously find a way to blame Black women for simply trying to be happy in life, like simply just trying to be happy and just trying to make it and trying to get the things that they see other women getting. It's not.
Okay. I want y'all to notice the conversion. And this isn't a conversion that I made or anybody else made or, a person in the manosphere made. This is a conversion that she made. A moment ago, she was talking about getting women in general, X, Y, and Z. Now she's talking about ugly women. Or, excuse me, she was talking about ugly women, and now she's talking about Black women in general. She believes that there is a direct correlation between a woman being ugly and there's a direct correlation between a woman being ugly and a woman being Black. Now that's a correlation that she made. She wants a special curve to be given for Black women.
Wrong. And then, another thing I wanted to point out was the fact that I want to be careful when we talk about competition with women, because that has been the ongoing story for forever, that women compete with each other, and it's increasing and it's getting worse. Women have competed with each other because we've created a patriarchy where men are the valuable ones, and so therefore you have to compete.
That's a lie.
Attention, and that's.
Oh, okay. Notice how she said we created a patriarchy. So they see patriarchy, something that's been going on since, the beginning of civilization, as far as we know it, and likely prior to that, as something that they created. It's just this bad, horrible, oppressive thing to women that they created because they were so horny. All this to say that they don't want to compete. I don't wish to compete. Patriarchy, blah, blah, blah.
Of course it is. Men are not the problem.
Men are not the prize. Funny.
That's a joke. The fact that men think that anyway. But like.
Oh, it's a joke that we think that we are the prize. And you see, what's her name? Well, I'm not going to say her name on here, but you know who you are. If you're listening, woman in Colombia, this is why I want you on my show, so you can give a different perspective. Tell us if you think from where you're from, are men the prize? So, yeah, because according to this woman, men are not the prize and they shouldn't be competing. They don't want to compete because by doing so, they will admit that men are the prize. Now, you see, this is why I have a problem, because people question why I have such a problem with bigger women. Behind a woman being big, you will find an unwillingness to compete. And an unwillingness to compete stems from the belief that men are not the prize. Now, as a result of the unwillingness to compete, they are constantly losing. I want you to picture two kids, right? Let's just say in the 4th grade. And they decide to race to school, right? They want to get to school. They want to see who can get to school the fastest, a competition. And one kid says to the other, school is not the prize. Therefore, I'm not going to compete. And then months later, the teachers hand out the perfect attendance awards. And the kid that refused to compete didn't get one. you didn't compete, therefore you didn't win, therefore you didn't get a prize. But you don't want the prize to recognize itself as a prize. And now what you're asking for is a prize for the people that did not compete. But how fair is that to the women who are competing? How fair is that to the younger, hotter, sexier, childless women of the world? The women who are putting in the work in the gym, in the boardroom, in the bedroom, in the kitchen. How fair is that to them? For you to say, I should get access to the same thing that you are competing for without competing. It would be the equivalent to having that kid say, hold on. Oh, crap. Just got an interesting text message. Let me, all right. Here. All right. Let me play the rest of this.
You know, the fact that, you know, we're clamoring up this ladder to gain that, to find ourselves valuable in the male gaze. And of course that is going to cause some type of, you know, competition. And it does for men as well too, because men themselves are looking to be valuable within each other's gaze, which is why they utilize women to compete with other men. So if you are not a trophy wife, then, you know, you are disposed of because I can't one up my nigga if you're not fine. There's this whole, like, you know, meme thing about, like, if you go to a cookout and nobody says that's you, just leave. You know, to the guy that you're dating, that nobody says that, you know, is that you or that's yours, just leave. And that's crazy. Like, why should you care about, you know, your uncle that has never been able to keep a relationship for any time in his life, talking about that's you, some creepy old uncle? Who gives a fuck? But that matters. And that's why, like, you know, these things, we're all in this.
Okay. She seems to be getting off on the fact that men compete with each other for women. The plurality of women, but not her. Interesting.
Hamster wheel together, whether we've stepped out sometimes to take a break and take a rest, and, you know, we can jump in and out, because that's the reality is that even when we step outside the matrix, we jump in and out of the hamster wheel because we have no choice. We live in this world, or you're consistently running in it. We all are just simply trying to be happy and trying to find a way to accommodate something that brings us joy in this life. And unfortunately, it breeds competition. Unfortunately, it makes us do things that we normally wouldn't do if we were allowed to simply survive and thrive without all this extra shit.
Thank you, Chechi. Laura, I wanted to give you a chance to chime in if you had anything to add.
Sure. One thing I wanted to add, which I'm curious if anybody else notices this, but even with different representation now, talking about social media with different body types, which I think has been better than it's probably ever been. When you see fat folks represented and queer folks represented and things like that, it's still, from what I see, like a...
Why? What's with the association between fat and queer? Like, one's a physical appearance, one is a sexual preference, or I should say demeanor is a better word. Is more like a gender demeanor, whatever you want to call that. But what's with the correlation? I mean, this is more of the intersectionality that I've spoken about. This is their way of saying we are all the same of the modern current oppressed group. Insert oppressed group here. Say that we are similar to this oppressed group. Yeah. All right, here. Let me share a screen so y'all can see who this is. All right, it's this one right here. In the bottom left.
Certain type. Like if you're fat, that's great, but you have to have flat stomach. Your butt has to be big, big boobs. Not your arms can't. Like it's still everything is still so by design from what we see. So
it's not what we see. It's what we want. There's always going to be a physical preference and standards.
In so many different ways, like it's just it's beautifully sad when I think about K. Michelle, right? Because I mean, we don't know, right? Like, did she get it done for a certain reason? Did she have an accident? Like, we don't really know what went down, but like, we can probably assume that someone said something, or she just feels like she has to keep up in a certain way or whatever, and that's how it is. Like we, like everybody discussed, and it's just beautifully sad in that way that the beauty standard obviously was created by white people for white people. It's not meant for Black folks to ever even.
No, it was created by men for men. Different ethnicities, believe it or not, have different beauty standards. The big breasts, the big butt, these are more of a Black beauty standard. Our beauty standard is very different. What you're worried about is that the beauty standard was created by someone other than you. Each and every single one of these women, even though they look different, they want to create the beauty standard for themselves. Now, the problem with that, and this is where the whole refusal to compete portion comes out, is the person right here, if she was the beauty standard, a chubby, light-skinned girl with fake hair, then she cannot be the beauty standard, a slim, dark-skinned woman with real hair. If this was the beauty standard, then this couldn't be the beauty standard. And if this was the beauty standard, then this couldn't be the beauty standard. No matter what you're going to compete, you're just competing in an oppression way. You're all trying to say the beauty standard that exists is a European construct. And then you're saying what beauty for Black men should be is fill in the blank. And guess what? They're all going to fill in the blank for themselves.
Didn't really have proximity to, which is why I was saying before, is like when I was a teenager, when I was younger, before I got into all my activism and advocacy and things where I started to really accept my Blackness and love who I am and accept myself. You want to be white. You want to get close to that because everything that you're seeing is white. And if you're not white, then you're.
No, sweetie, you want to be white. You're projecting. There was one moment in my life that I didn't necessarily want to be white, but I did want to have one of their attributes. And I'll tell the story. I was in 5th grade, and we went on a field trip to the Chabot Science Center in a place called Hayward, California. A lot of cool stuff, and I like science things. And we weren't the only school that was on this field trip. Several other schools, including white schools, were on this field trip. So one of the professors gave a demonstration, and he was demonstrating static electricity. Now, we couldn't do it, and not because of things of racism or things like that. We couldn't do it just because of a matter of genetics and physics and that I won't go into. But a white kid placed his hand on this electrical ball that generated static electricity. And of course, we all know now his hair rose. That, of course, don't necessarily work the same our hair gives more static electricity than it display through receiving. So I was like, oh, if I were white at that particular moment, I would be able to do that. That is the only time I ever even, and this was 5th grade, like that was the only time I ever actually had a thought like that. But she's trying to use this as a shaming tool to say, if you are not attracted to me, and she's overweight, then it's because of ...
You're not successful, or you can't do that thing that you want to do. And that's so much of what you see in social media, even when it's, in your books, that you're not seeing yourself represented in history books and textbooks at school and things like that. And so I just wanted to add that. But that's one thing that really, really, really bugs me, is that it's like you can be whoever you want to be and look however you want to look, but you still have to be closer to this if you are in that. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, definitely. But now it's closer to white, but with an exaggerated Black woman's body. That's the only difference now. Go ahead, Queen, and then Dr. Donna.
Yeah, I want to speak to what Laurel said. So, like, I have I guess a unique living experience from other people. Whereas when I was a kid, I always lived in spaces where I was desired, or was in communities where my Blackness, my whatever, was something that was not a bad thing. I grew up in really, really like a Black bubble cocoon. I don't know, whatever. So I didn't really experience those things. And white culture was over there. It was not in my living room. Like, my parents were very conscious about what I saw. I couldn't have white dolls. I couldn't have magazines with white people on.
Okay, now keep in mind that this is the one in the center.
It was just so much stuff. So that's why it's so interesting to me that because of social media and the access that it provides, like, parents can't even gatekeep in the ways that my mother and father did, so they could make sure that I saw myself everywhere. So although
okay, what your parents did is not a good thing. What they did was created a Black bubble inside of a white society. And really what they denied you was a glimpse of the competition. You see, the competition is upon you, whether you like it or not. Even if you've never seen a white woman and you never seen, pretty face, what is it? Small waist, pretty face with the big bank. If you never seen a TikTok video like that, they did exist. And the men that you want would have seen them at some point in their life. You can't be successful, and I'm sure you want successful men, without ever seeing a white woman. A person can't thrive in this bubble. A plant can't grow. A human being can't grow in the bubble that you create for yourself, or that your parents created for you. See, in your bubble, you didn't have to compete. In your bubble, you can eat whatever you want as long as others in the bubble ate the same amount. But in reality, not in your bubble, in reality, the competition is slimmer, sweeter, submissiver, and sandwicher than you can ever be. Or excuse me, than you were groomed to be. See, there's a reason why on the first Friday they gave that point. They said, Debo only mess with us. He don't go around the corner and do that. See, there's a reason why Debo didn't go around the corner and do that, because around the corner was another Debo. There was another Debo, a bigger Debo, a kung fu fighting Debo. And in her case, a hotter.
I'm going to go on the road and they're going to tell me that I'm not anything. At least I was in this cocoon of, like, Black is beautiful or whatever the hell you want to call it before I went. Before I went to college or something like that. So that's the part.
So she lived in a cocoon where black is beautiful. So there was no ugly chicks in your cocoon. What was it, like Gremlins? Even in your cocoon, there was a chick in your neighborhood that you considered unattractive and that the boys considered unattractive. You're just happy that it wasn't you. You're just happy that you come from a neighborhood or a cocoon where there were fatter chicks than yourself. See, you are suffering from a low bar. You are suffering from when someone takes a class that's a very easy A and they get that A and they walk out into the world like, I'm an A student, and then they are asked to do the job that they got an A in the class for, and they can't perform. They look around and all the other A students who actually earned it and didn't get it based on a curve is far more knowledgeable. That is the situation she finds herself in, and she don't like it. And the solution is to ask the people in the real world to grade on the curve of your cocoon. You basically stepped out of a cocoon, seen the real world competition, didn't like it, and decided to try to make the world a cocoon.
That really piques my interest, or like that I'm concerned about, because now I see whiteness leaking into black spaces in ways that I didn't see before, and that's what is the issue for me, or that what seems to be the problem for me, that I can see this little black girl and her whole Instagram, everyone she's following is some Kardashian Jenner like person, and it's not like someone who looks just like her. So that's the stuff that really, really frightens me and makes me concerned. The other thing I want to say, and it's a question, and I don't know if anyone has the answer to it, but every time I have these conversations and people say, love yourself, what is love? Like, what is loving yourself? Like, what is this thing that everyone keeps telling us to do for, like, what is it? No one tells you what it is. No one gives you the things, the steps, the box.
Okay, I know I'm supposed to translate stuff like that, but I have no idea where she's at with that. That's what is loving yourself? Like, I don't know of a way to break it down to simpler terms. Like, is there a way? Maybe y'all can explain in the chat room, like, you know. But it literally is a definition. It's not like a word, you know, that requires defining. The definition is in the statement. This is a statement. Like, what is loving yourself? Well, if you know what love is and you know what self is, then, and you know what your is, which word is confusing? Like, when you put them in that order, I don't understand what you don't understand. Loving yourself, like, because you can put anything besides self at the end of that sentence, and it's still a very simple thing. Love your country, love your children, love your parents, love your house, love your dog, love your babies, love your school, love your job. Like, it's very simple. I don't know the confusion. I think that she's just trying to, well, love is abstract to all people. So is she saying that she's incapable of abstract thought? I hope not, because that would mean something very, very bad. Because most of the English language is abstract. I'm generalizing, but, you know, a large portion of the English language is intangible, including the word tangible.
box of love that with the toolkit. Like, what is that? We keep telling each other to love yourself out of pain.
Are you saying it's kind of elusive?
Yeah, like we keep telling each other to love ourselves out of.
Okay, so elusive is also an abstract term. So why is she so confused by this? I don't get it. And why is loving yourself elusive? And how did the one in the top left corner know that she would find it elusive? I would never think that elusive is and loving yourself can be applied together. Why? Because a person should not be elusive to themselves. Elusive is like difficult to find, difficult to track. You've been looking for something, but you can't quite get it. Elusive. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to define it. But a person's self, yourself is the least elusive thing there is. Period. Not being able to find yourself is like not being able to see the inside of your eyelids. It's right there. I'm elusive to yourself. You can be elusive to others, but to yourself, you're trying to love yourself. How is that elusive? I think, and this is because the one in the middle has trouble with abstract thought. I do think that the one in the top left just used a word that the one in the middle didn't understand. And she just said, yeah, because she didn't want to admit that she didn't understand it. That's what I'm speculating here. Yeah. All right, let's continue.
Pain, oppression, depression, all of the things, and it's like, but what is that? What am I supposed to do with that? Mm-hmm. It's not tangible. Mm-hmm. And I wish that we had a little bit more tangible solutions when it comes to conversations about beauty standards and plastic surgery and altering your image and things like that. And I think that's the work I think that should be done. And I haven't done that work myself because I'm still trying to figure out what the heck that even is. But how do we make a tangible solution or a tangible thing into the conversation that is helpful for people when we have these kinds of conversations?
I think that's
the silence that you hear is just my jaw dropping. First of all, okay. Okay. First of all, how do you have a tangible conversation about love, which is intangible? And how do you have a tangible discussion about how elusive love is? Even self is intangible, really. I don't think she knows what tangible means. I think that she thinks tangible is something that you eat and it tastes like an orange. What in the world? This is just like my jaw was just dropped. Like, I know I'm supposed to translate this from you, but you know, this reminds me, I had these neighbors, right, that were Mexican. And one day, the little girl, she came up to me. She loved me because I got her for Christmas, I got her a fish, just a little betta fish. And she loved it because I have a fish tank. And when I bring home, y'all can hear it. When I bring it home, they'll be outside playing and I'll show it to them and they get really excited. I'll show them a new fish. So I was like, okay, when Christmas came, I got them a little tank and, a little fish. But she came over and she said something to me, and her older sister, who was bilingual, and normally translate for the parents, she would translate for her too from time to time. I think her first language was Spanish. And she was like, blah, 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 blah. And then I looked at the sister like, you know, even though she was adorable, I looked at her older sister like, what is she saying? And she said, "Como?" And then she said it again. Then I looked and she said, "Como?" And then she said it a third time. And then I looked and she said, "I don't know what she's saying," you know. And that's what this is like. She's like a 4-year-old Spanish speaker. That made no sense at all. Even the people that speak Spanish, that was just like, what in the world was that?
That's a great point, Queen. Sakina, do you want to chime in since you brought up the whole point of loving yourself?
Yeah, sure. I love that point. I think Dr. Donna was alluding to that as well. I do believe that it is a journey. You know, I mean, as soon as you said it, I was like, wow, I never thought about what are the tangible elements of loving yourself. The first thing that came up for me is, well, what are my points of reference for love? So my point of reference for love is God. So, okay, God loves me. My parents love me. So how do I express that in my life? What also came up was a level of acceptance that also came up, thinking about it. I'm not saying I have all the answers.
Okay. God loves me. My parents love me. That's well and good, I guess. But none of that is tangible. Oh, this is comedy. This is comedy gold.
Answers here. I know. I think it's a journey in discovering. However, I think it also speaks what you shared about your upbringing. Speaks to something that maybe a lot of Black women don't have, right? The majority of Black girls don't have. The fact that you were protected and affirmed, so that I'm going to assume in your Blackness, you will be okay navigating the peaks and valleys and just the fucked up shit of this world.
Just a little more okay. I'm not okay.
A little more okay.
That's you all I be for real. I live in the same boat as everyone, but just.
She thinks she's okay. She thinks she's okay. She thinks she's normal. She thinks that being raised in a cocoon where everybody looks like you or worse, and then being thrown out into the real world where, you know, they have exoticals and white women, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that is doing the, you know, slim waist, pretty face with the big bank challenge right in front of you. And because of that, you don't really seem to understand the concept of abstraction. That's normal? You see yourself as normal? Oh, gosh.
Right. And I also don't think loving yourself is like an answer that stands alone. Like, you know, there's more to it. There's so many layers to all this. But I think that answer is probably truly individual. The only way you know if you love yourself is if you do. You have to ask yourself that question and start to peel that back. I have to ask myself that question and start to peel that back. And the first thing I do every morning is say, hey, girl, I love you, because I have to, right? Like, I have to as part of me surviving, you know, as part of.
I have to as a part of me surviving. Let me get this straight. You are the thing that stopped Thanos from snapping you away. I have to love myself, love myself, love myself, love myself, love myself, love myself. And if you forget to say that in the morning, something bad happens. You will be struck down by all of them. And here's what I mean by struck down. All the gods of lightning. Like Zeus, Odin, and Jupiter are going to get together and say, rock, paper, scissors, rock, paper, scissors, rock, paper, scissors, rock, paper, scissors. And then whoever wins, throw a lightning bolt at you. Yeah, I know you. I know you. You got away with that crap. You got away with that. There was one day, June 13th. I know, June 13th, you forgot to say you love yourself. And you are just worried about it. You thought that you could double up on June 14th. You thought that you can escape it, but you forgot to say you love yourself. Oh, crap. This is spectacular. By the way, if you have to say something to yourself every day, then it's not true. Imagine waking up in the morning and having to say to yourself, I got a big penis. I have to say that. Every morning I have to say I have a big penis. Because if I forget to say I have a big penis, something bad is going to happen.
Me taking care of my my mind and my well-being. So I really love that is on the table. Is how do I really know? I think that's something that we have to peel back individually and also create spaces of peeling that back.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sakina. I'm gonna go to Dr. Donna, then to Taryn.
Queen, I really love that you asked that question. Like, what is love? I'm a person that believes in making things concrete. I don't like abstract ideas. I think that they're cute. I don't think that they're practicable in the same way. So for me, I usually have clients define it for themselves. What would...
Oh my God, the whole panel. Oh my God, the whole panel. The whole panel. I hope they get jumped. I hope they get jumped by lightning gods. Like, I like things that are concrete. I can't stand abstract ideas. Ideas are abstract. That's what idea is, an abstract concept. I don't know what they think abstract is. I have no idea. This is beyond the realm of for what I can translate. This is beyond the realm of anything I could translate. Like, I like concrete ideas. Okay, let's go with that. What's a concrete idea? Was that the revelation that they made when they invented concrete? Like, I think it was the Phoenicians that invented concrete. Like, what's a concrete idea? I mean, wow. I have no idea. This is my first time hearing this part. I don't know what to make of this. I do feel that they're trying to have a intellectual conversation, but because intellectualism is a abstract, they're having trouble with it. That's the only thing I could like fix my brain to think of.
Feel like love? What would it look like? What would it sound like? What would it smell like? What would it taste like? Like, how would you wear it? How would you walk in it? How would you cook in it? Like, for me, it's self-defined for sure, but it's caring for your body in the way that you know to care for your body. And I don't think that people, unpopular opinion, getting plastic surgery is self-love. For some people, it is, because it's like, this is what I do to make sure I survive. This is what I do so that this is how I show myself.
Why do they keep saying survive? Why do they keep saying survive? Are they confusing plastic surgery with like open heart surgery? Like, are they confusing plastic surgery with like ER, the ER room or something like that? And you have the doctors and the nurses, and they're like clear. And then one doctor say, put your finger here, and they like pump in the chest, and because that's what you're doing to survive. Plastic surgery is what you do to gain access to pretty privilege that genetics or lifestyle doesn't give you the access to that you'd like. It's not survival.
And this is how I show others that I love on me, by the things that I buy for myself, because we are in a very consumerism based.
Plastic surgery is what you do to show others you love on me? Love on me. I'm not even going to touch that one. I'm not even going to touch that one, but yeah, I'm not going to touch that. I want to so bad, but I just can't. But plastic surgery is how you show others that you love on you. Wow. Okay.
This world. Now, when I teach about self-care, I teach about mundane self-care. Did you wash your ass today? Like, did you masturbate? Did you?
That's self-care. This is spectacular. I am going to. So people have been sending me links to the Grapevine since this. And I have to say, this is a treasure trove of content. This is spectacular. So the one in the middle says, how do I know if I love myself? And the one to the left of her is basically saying, well, you know you love yourself if you washed your ass, masturbated, and got plastic surgery. That's how you know. If you haven't done each of these three things, then you don't love yourself. Now, personally, I wash everything. Like, I don't just stop at the gluteus maximus. I just continue washing, even behind the ears. But in order to love yourself, you only have to stop there. You could just stop there. In the shower, you just wash the ass and then stop and then masturbate and know everything else is going to be okay because you have plastic surgery. Wow. Just wow. Oh, and to my newfound Colombian friend who is listening, yes, this is America. this I don't know what to say. This is America.
Did you run a comb through your hair, or at least some fingers? Because this is how I care for.
Oh, she said, did you run a comb through your hair? This is the one in the middle left that actually said, did you run a comb through your hair?
For my hair, just fingers. That's it. Like, did you do something that was for you, and did it bring you pleasure? And if we're defining love as something that brings you pleasure or makes you feel affectionate towards yourself or admiration for yourself, then people would say that that's love. And I would say that then that has to be completely self-defined, because what brings you a feeling of pleasure and affection and all that may not do that for me. I'm looking like, for me, it's Baskin Robbins, pralines and cream ice cream. Like, don't come at me with trash, you know?
Maybe I got distracted. Where did Baskin Robbins come into? Are you saying that you love yourself so you eat Baskin Robbins? So the slimmer one said to the bigger one, for me, loving myself is masturbation, hygiene, and plastic surgery. For you, it might be Baskin Robbins. All right, let me see if I understand this. Not Cold Stone, Baskin Robbins, but let me follow this. Let me follow this for a second. If you eat Baskin Robbins, you love yourself. Wouldn't that just mean that you love Baskin Robbins? Honestly, would that mean that you love Baskin Robbins? So they don't understand it. Okay.
For me, it's Krispy Kreme donuts. Don't come at me with Dunkin', because you don't love me if you brought me Dunkin'.
I'm going to just let them talk. There's nothing I can say to punctuate what's going on here. There is nothing. This is golden.
Everyone doesn't go for that nonsense. But just like overall, like I feel like the natural sort of progression of this conversation is, where do we go from here, and how do we then even combat the stuff? And for me, it's been, how do you curate your feeds? Because you don't have to look at the stuff that you're looking at. You could curate it.
Yep, mine is
and you could curate it with your child. I mean, the same way that I teach parents to talk about sex with their kids, I'm looking like, whatever you watching on TV together is a conversation to be had. Right. Whatever y'all both saw is a conversation to be had. So whatever you see them seeing, as much of it as you can, say something. I couldn't do very much as, like, I consider myself a parent of 2 who are not mine because they belong to my parents. I'm a parentified child. And for me, it's been, I question everything that.
I'm a parent of 2 who don't belong to me. They belong to my parents? Were you forced to raise your brother and sister? What?
That we watch on TV. If you told me that thing is cute, why is that cute?
Right.
Who told you that was cute? Where did that come from? Question everything. And I always encourage my sisters to look at the money trail. Who got paid off making you feel like shit?
Hello?
Who cashed in? Because somebody cashed in. I mean, whether or not you're going to pour every ounce of the conditioner in your hair to create waves that don't want to come.
Now, that is a good question. Who cashed in on making you feel like shit? Well, you already answered the question. Baskin Robbins, Dunkin' Donuts, Krispy Kreme. These are the people that cashed in on making you feel like crap. Your plastic surgeon. These are the people that cashed in on making you feel like crap, because apparently you got to eat Dunkin' Donuts to feel like, or Krispy Kreme to feel like you love yourself. They're the ones that cashed in.
Or whether or not, Maybelline told you maybe you was born with it, but you could buy it. I mean, somebody is cashing in. And for me, I think particularly of my aunt, who I did not recognize her at a party. She was so light. She used to be my type chocolate, and she bypassed me in the party. My mom was telling me my aunt is there, and I was like, no, she's not. I didn't see her. She's like, that one. I was like, that lady is white. That is not my auntie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, what about her children?
Right.
What did they pick up from what she put down? And I think that if we're thinking, I think that we cannot continue to think in silos as individuals alone. I think that, to me, this is tribe work, this is family work, this is community work. And if we as a community are not willing to think about the other, like, when you do this, what did you tell them?
Right. Right.
Because that is part of the rhetoric. Because, like I said before, self-love, self-esteem, none of these things are created in the bubble. They are created by what we surround ourselves with. So if we're surrounding ourselves with the thing that we feel.
Self-love is not created in a bubble. In a very real way, it is. Because the other woman was saying that she became self-conscious after society pierced her bubble. She was saying that she was raised in a bubble, at which time she had love for herself, apparently. And once she left that bubble, she became self-conscious. It is created in a bubble. It's the bubble of self. Like, yeah, your self is a bubble with you in it. And if you love what's in it, you love yourself.
Is like love. And we are naming it, and we are questioning everything that gets paid off the fact that we don't like certain things about ourselves, even though that can still be self-love for you. I think that this is where our work really lies. Mm-hmm. And I think that we start on the smaller community, as in with ourselves, reaching out maybe even to our individual family, our chosen family, our blood family, and let that move out and into community. But what we do for the individual to get something, we also teach the community to do the same. And most of us don't mean to do that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Stuff like this makes sense when they say it in their brain first. This was the one I was talking about, the African slave ships, by the way. Stuff like this makes sense when they say it in their brain first. That made absolutely no sense to me. Now, either this is just, jabber, or I'm not that bright, or I just lost focus. But I think it's the former most.
Thank you, Dr. Donna. I'm going to go to Taryn and then Aisha.
Yeah. Oh my God, Dr. Donna, you hit right on the head. I do think that,
She's a doctor. She's a doctor. And she said, you just hit the nail on the head. You know something? My soul hurts. And that's abstract, not concrete. My soul hurts to think that there exist doctors here in the US that don't understand abstraction.
Some other folks said this, self-love is very individual. I was literally just talking to my friends today about like how we define love and what love is for us. And of course, you have to start with self and exploring and really defining that. And I think that like, because we weren't.
Okay, this is the one in the top right. Let's see. Do you know Aisha K is the one in the second row to the right? Oh, dang. Nah, I didn't know that. No, I don't. I don't really watch Grapevine like that, but hey, rest in peace. Rest in peace. How did she go?
Necessarily, especially as Black women, given or like shown a set rubric. I do think that like there is work that needs to be done for the babies, for the young Black girls, the young Black non-binary folk, and to really ensure that they know how to reach self-love.
Where did the non-binaries come in at?
Because a lot of this shit is very trial and error. Very trial and error. Like the fact that, you know, I just started curating my feed, you know, and unfollowing accounts that, you know, were very aspirational for me maybe yesteryear, but I started to realize this pattern of I'm getting, you know, even more depressed, and I'm comparing myself to these people and to these accounts. And I'm not supposed to look like that. I'm not supposed, you know, like, and for me, self-care is very, and self-love is very actionable in very specific ways. And for others, self-care and self-love may be actionable in, you know, in ways that they change their appearance. And
well, I mean, according to your friend, self-care and self-love is actionable, and that action is masturbation. That's actionable. It's an actionable thing. Wonder what sex would be. Oh, I get it. Masturbation, self-love.
they make sure that they are, you know, able to make their dollar, able to survive, able to, you know, to do all the things that, you know, were said earlier. And, you know, I think that, like, that is very much okay. We know that, like, the people who need to change these systems are the people who created these systems. You know, like, I definitely think that there is a lot of blame that is placed on Black women. But that is the very reason why, like, we set these rubrics and we understand, and we reach out to our little cousins, our little sisters, our daughters, our nieces, all of them, and make sure that they know, like, hey, like, I see that you're following the Kardashian Jenners. I see that you're doing this. Okay, let me show you these other accounts. Let me show you, you know, Ari Lennox. Let me show you Tiana Taylor. Let me show you, you know, others, because at the end of the day, all of, like, the kids and people just in general, like, looking up and aspiring to be celebs, aspiring to be, you know, these very, like, different influencers or whatever. Like, that's not something that we can necessarily change overnight, but I do think that we can, like, give them a variety and a wider diet and show them, like, hey, beauty comes in so many different spectrums and so many different, you know, ways of being. And yes, the world is like this, but you can opt in or opt out.
See what they're trying to. Okay, this part I do understand. They're trying to say that the realm of beauty, that the definition of beauty is so expansive that it includes ugly. The realm of beauty is just so vast that anyone can be beautiful, including the ugly, which means that beauty doesn't exist, which means that pretty privilege shouldn't exist and we all should have it. By that logic, you should sleep with anybody that asks.
And the decision is yours. Do what's best for you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Taryn. Go ahead, Aisha.
Yeah, so I'm sitting here thinking about this love thing. I always believe that love is an energy. I think it's the energy at the core of the universe, is the energy behind creation. But what does actual self-love look like? That's the question. And I do think it's different for different people, because we perform love, we receive love differently. You know, a man can tell you that he loves you, and you might be like, but the way you treat me doesn't feel like love. I don't know. So love can be different things. But I think in general, there are some basics. I think boundaries are love. And like Taryn was speaking of, in terms of being very particular about what you follow. I'm very particular about who I follow on social media. I'm particular about the music I listen to. I'm particular about the image of women, particularly of Black women, that's promoted in that media. I'm particular about how love is sang about. I listen to a lot of Stephanie Mills songs because Stephanie Mills always sings very positively about being loved on, and I like to hear Black women singing about being loved on and feeling good all over. So I think boundaries are one. I think acceptance is one, to your point, Sakina. I think accepting yourself is one, but I think also with acceptance is I accept myself, and I also accept that there are things that I don't always like about myself. I think, and not beating yourself up for that is a part of acceptance. I think being good to yourself is self-love, and taking care of yourself is self-love. But we have to also understand that for some women, taking care of themselves does look like getting their hair done, getting their nails done, wearing makeup, wearing a nice outfit, hiring.
Okay, now this is interesting. So this is what they mean when they say actionable. I get that now. They're saying spoiling themselves is a form of self-love. And what this is translating into is spending money on oneself is self-love. Which is, yeah, okay.
A personal trainer, it might look like a nose job to them. So self-love has all these different things. If it feels good to you, roll with it, because who are we to say that's not how you should love yourself? If it feels like love to you, you have to go with it. The next thing I wanted to say is just another comment on what we're really talking about, this colorism, is how insidious it is, because I really agree with you.
She said what we were talking about. You brought up the topic. Once again, this is, God dang it. Once again, this is the one in the far left middle.
Queen, my parents did their best to wrap me in the blackest of blackety black cocoons when I was growing up. All the artwork in the house was Black. My mama, to me, looks like the bust of Nefertiti. The dolls, you could not get. Somebody gave me a doll that was not Black ones. I don't know what happened to it. It disappeared. Like, my parents did their absolute best, but they had to send me out into the world. And by age 12, I could tell you, I noticed that other women, other girls are being treated differently. I noticed that other girls are getting the boyfriends. I noticed that other girls are talked about more favorably. I went to ballet class and I noticed that I was treated differently. I noticed that there were people who took issue with my body. That's what's so insidious about colorism, because it's without and it's within. You can protect your children from it.
Oh, God. So you weren't as hot as you thought you were on a global scale.
It within, but they're going to go out into the world and they're going to get it without. And the reality is, a lot of people are introduced to colorism at home because they're the darker sibling. Because their grandmama said, stop going to swim outside, you're going to get darker. Somebody made a comment about my hair. Oh, girl, her hair is tight. When I went to, it's an aunt who loves me very much. That's what she knew. Commenting on who your son dates and what his little girlfriend looks like. That's how most people learn colorism. That's why it's so insidious. It really is the way we count.
Wait a minute. Commenting on who your son dates is colorism? All right. What type of comments? Keep in mind, she's brown skinned, so I don't really know what this means, but so if a parent was to say to his or her son, congratulations, boy, you got yourself a light-skinned girl. Yes, that would be colorism. However, it's not the fact that he commented on who your son dates. It's the comment he made. So you would address that before you address the act of making a comment. So somebody said that their mother said their girlfriend was too dark. What's the opposite with me? My mom said that even though I had a preference, you know, light-skinned girls had a preference for me for whatever reason. This was like, I don't know if that's true now. I haven't really been out on the market like that, but this has been true for quite some time. Like in my personal dating life, I had more success with light-skinned girls than dark-skinned girls, and it wasn't anything I did. It wasn't a matter of my preference, but my mom took note of it and thought that this was a pattern of behavior for me. So that was the comment I got. But what my mom had ever said, you know, with that dark, nah. But my mom says weird stuff, so who knows?
I love what kept on saying that can we carry the white man's water for him? Because this the conversation that is one of those conversations we can't all put on white people. A lot of this stuff that we're experiencing out in the world, particularly dating, is stuff that our partners learned at home. I was just having a conversation about an organization that I'm in that shall remain nameless, and how in one of their chapters, when a candidate is up for vote, people want to see pictures. Why do they want to see pictures of this woman that they might vote on to let into their chapter? To make sure she's light enough. We're still doing this in 2021, y'all. That's how insidious it is. And so
I think that last part was an assumption. Like, why did they want to see a picture of her to make sure she's light enough? Really? Are you sure that they didn't want to see a picture to make sure, like, a bunch of other things? Like, was she too big? Was she too small? Did she have too many bumps on her face? Like, a bunch of things. Was she ugly? Was she born a she? Was she bald? Does she have a tattoo of a swastika in the middle of her forehead? Like, I think they wanted to see a picture of her for a lot of different reasons, not the least of which is, oh, she's light enough. What? Why would you read that into it? And then just assume that we would just say, yep, that's the only reason why people ask for pictures of the people they're dealing with. Excuse me? Yeah, this must be like a, oh gosh. I just had a horrible thought. Imagine trying to date her. Imagine meeting her on Tinder or social media. Imagine meeting her on social media and she don't have a picture. She don't have an avatar up. But you say, hey, mind sending me a picture? To which she replies, what, you're trying to see if I'm light enough? It's like, oh, crap. You know, I think I'm going to not talk to you and never use social media again for dating. That's what's out there. That is the weirdest response that could possibly happen. Well, no, there are weirder responses. But like weirder responses would be, you know, in the realm of absurdity. Like, hey, you mind if I have a picture to see what you look like? Oh, what? You don't think I'm a human being? Like, you really have to stretch to get weirder than what was said.
My heart breaks because
you know what was weird? In college, then this reminds me of that type of weird. So back in the day, I'm pretty sure they use the internet somehow now. Back in the day, because I'm old, when we had parties, we would advertise by printing a bunch of flyers and then beating the street with your feet. You walked up to a girl, because you get the girls, particularly the attractive ones, to come, and then the guys come, and then the girls come because of those guys, and then that's how you get a party started. Anyway, that's what we did, right? So my boys that were in a fraternity, I'm not gonna say which one, but my boys that were in a fraternity gave me a stack and told me to pass it out. It's like, all right, bet, just did my regular routine, pass it out at the mall and stuff like that, just had them in my pocket. And then I was at work. Now, for those of you who are old enough to remember, the flyers typically had like Instagram models before it was Instagram, like attractive women, scantily dressed on there because it's eye-catching. So passing it out, and one chick said, and this was at work, she said, "Oh, is how I'm supposed to dress if I go to the party?" I was like, what the hell? I didn't know how to respond to that. It was the weirdest response I got. And I just never passed her a flyer again. That was just so strange. That was just so strange. So, yeah, this is that type of strange. It really shows what's on the surface of their brain when something like that is said,
I credit our generation with being the first generation to really be vocal about color.
Yes. Yeah.
I think we're the first. Everybody else murmured and we're the first generation. Like, this is jacked up. This is a mess. This is affecting our mental health. This is affecting our.
Kevin says Alpha Phi Alpha. I'm not gonna let y'all do process of elimination. So of the 5, it was not Alpha Phi Alpha. I went to school on the West Coast. They're not that big out here. They exist, but they're not as big as they are on the East Coast. Or HBCU where they started. But no more guesses. That's it. It's one of the remaining 4. Okay. Yes, I'm pretty sure HBCU parties were like 10 times better than the parties we had because the Blacks were a small segment of the overall campus population. So I get it. I'm a California born and raised, and I didn't want to leave home. Should have went to HBCU. I didn't. Don't rub it in. However, we had flyers too.
Our marriage chances, it's getting worse. Social media is making it worse. The actual media is making it worse. Black families still checking the baby's ears when they're born to see what color they're gonna be.
I've never heard that ever. You people from the South, is that a thing? And that's why I didn't go to HBCU? Crap like that. If somebody said that to me, I wouldn't know what to do. That would be so bizarre if somebody came to me and said, when I was a baby, my mama checked behind my ears to see how dark I would be. What? First of all, I thought I was born this color. Second of all, I didn't even know that there's some like barcode behind a person's ear when they're babies that says, you know, you're gonna be this dark. What? Pretty sure had I went to HBCU, I would have had longer lasting connections in my field, Black connections, and better parties, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I didn't have to put up with that crap. That is weird. That is weird. And I believe her too, because my cousin went to Howard, and she told me that that y'all be stretching caramel next to y'all skin and stuff. If I seen that, I'll be like, wait, what? That's, yeah.
I give credit to millennial women for taking a stand, but we can't do this alone.
Especially a lot of the voices on this show, Chechi, Queen, Taryn, Dr. Donna, Sakina, you know, you guys, a lot of you guys are OGs, Donovan. I really believe that we, and I don't want to sound, I don't know, like I'm hyping us up, but I do believe that we put a lot of conversations about colorism on the front stage, and a lot of other people started doing things. So I think that we've been doing some great work on that front. So I thank all of you for always being down to have these conversations.
And thank you. And thank you.
Yeah.
So look, wish I could see the expression of the one in the bottom left, the light-skinned one. Because she's just kind of sitting there awkward, like, yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, colorism bad. Okay. She's just kind of like there, like, this is an awkward conversation.
Yeah. Donovan, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, I just, first of all of you are beautiful. And I love to.
Ah, this dude. If everybody's beautiful, nobody's beautiful.
Be sometimes the only man in these conversations because it's always such a learning lesson. And I agree with what Aisha said at the end in terms of like, what does love actually look like? And I think that it is this inward-outward exchange. And one of the words that I always use is empathy. I think that it's about having empathy for yourself and being committed to this.
Oh my God, this dude said empathy for yourself. Others is in the definition of empathy. You can't really empathize with yourself. If you do, it's just having feelings and emotions. What in the entire F? Hold on, I'm gonna look up the definition of empathy just so y'all can hear how stupid this sounds. But I'm pretty sure the word other is in the official definition. The ability to understand and share the feelings of another. How does one empathize with themselves? Abstract thought is completely lost on this bunch. You have to be able to empathize with yourself. Wow. Okay. Okay.
This spiritual, physical, mental connection with yourself that in spite of whatever happens, in spite of somebody telling you an ugly, nappy-headed hoe, whatever the case may be, that you're committed to being okay, that you're committed to loving yourself, that you're committed to having an experience where it's about you and yourself.
So if somebody's calling you, if society at large is calling you an ugly, nappy-headed hoe, instead of for combing your hair, you just have empathy for yourself.
The last thing that I'll say is that I liken it to thinking about yourself as having a little child in yourself. A little 12.
He keeps saying empathy with yourself. I'm telling you, this is the same bunch that says stuff like root chakras. Like this is the same type. You have to empathize with yourself. Root chakras. You got to empathize with yourself. Think about yourself as having a baby inside you. Think about yourself as if you're pregnant. Okay, let's see where he's going with this.
12-year-old, queen, a little 14-year-old Aisha, whatever it may be, when you first heard something that when you hear it again, it triggers you.
Right.
What would you need? What qualities would you need right now to help you get past that? What advice would you give to that little child for them to have a different experience? Mm-hmm. Although it may seem, up in the air, you can probably add something physical.
Okay, I'm trying to make sense of this. Imagine yourself having a child within yourself. What advice would you give that child? The first bit of advice I would give that child is get out of me. I'm an adult and you're 12. That would be the first piece of advice. Like, why are you inside of an adult? Go out and play or something. Do something. Why are you in me? The second piece of advice I would have is avoid the mistakes that I have made. But he says, give that advice to yourself, but I have already made it. Like, what would I tell my 9-year-old self would be get better grades in high school? Well, you should give that advice to yourself. I already graduated high school. The fact that they can have these conversations with people, it's mind-boggling. It really is.
To it, i.e. curating your timeline, i.e. stop listening to that music, i.e. get that motherfucker out your life, i.e. cut off your mother if she's talking crazy to you. Mm-hmm. It's not easy, but the commitment, the empathy, the way that you feel about yourself has to take precedence. And I think that that's not...
Okay, that's what it is. That's what it is. Oh my God. This bunch, oh yes, I'm definitely going to do this. Why is this? All right. First I thought she was cute and interesting. Now she's just annoying. Like, what happened around this week and so much confidence I can have toward what? Okay. So the Colombian chick, I'm trying to get her on the show, but it seems like she's struggling because she's new to learning English, but she's more comprehensible than this bunch. Like I can comprehend her better, or comprehensive, excuse me, than this much. I can understand her better. This man just said, empathy is love for thyself. Do you know how selfish a person would have to be to define empathy as loving yourself? When the definition is to love another, it means that you are so incapable of learning the ability to understand and share feelings of another. Means that you are so incapable of that, you can only empathize with yourself. You have changed the definition from of empathy. You remove the word other and insert it yourself. How messed up is you? And then they said, basically, so that's what he was doing when he was giving the, you know, child within yourself analogy. He's basically saying, as a tool to learn to love yourself better, think about how you love other people. Get rid of that crap and apply it to yourself.
Not only a Black woman issue, that's a Black man issue as well. If we had more empathy for ourselves, perhaps maybe we have more empathy for Black women as well.
And
God, no. God, no. So they don't know what empathy or abstract means. If you have more empathy for yourself, you will have more empathy for others. But empathy is an understanding of the feelings of others. You can't really have it for yourself. You can only have it for others. You are a freaking imbecile. You, what?
Donovan, that's such a great point. And I think, you know, when I think back on my childhood.
That's such a great point. This is, oh, wow.
There's so many people that I wish I could go back and curse out, you know what I mean? For the crazy things they said to me, the colorful shit they said to me. And I think arming, especially dark-skinned little girls, dark-skinned boys too, but especially little girls, arming them with the verbal equipment to handle people is necessary.
Arm yourself with the verbal equipment on how to handle people, because your crew, their vocabulary is just like completely skewed. And their ability to like understand abstraction is completely skewed.
And the confidence. You walk in the room, hold your head up high. You know what I mean? You're beautiful. Telling these girls this, I think, is so important. And teaching them how to stand up.
It's important to tell beautiful people that they're beautiful, yes. But if they're not beautiful, it's don't lie to them.
Themselves.
Yeah.
I was not taught that. You know what I mean? I was never taught how to stand up for myself.
Well, I mean, you were never taught that you were beautiful. It's likely because you're not beautiful. And it's not because you're dark. By the way, this is the one in the top left. I'm not going to give my personal assessments of your physical appearance. What I will say is that the one in the middle right is the hottest one on the panel. And you're not as hot as her. I will say that. And it has nothing to do with your complexion.
I think, you know, when I have female children, that's going to be something that I drive into their head. I don't care who said what. If anybody talks to you crazy, you need to stand up for yourself. And this is how you do it.
Oh, wow. Another little Black girl with an attitude. That's exactly what the world needs.
So they'll never try that shit again. I know me and Nuchechi were talking, and we were talking about different people, different media people, and we were saying, you know, when they went crazy and said, don't talk to me like that, nobody ever messed with them again.
Okay. Were they messing with you before?
They realized not to, 'cause, you know, it's a lot of times we say, if they go low, we go high.
Right.
Sometimes you need to go to the Earth's crust.
I'm not about that high. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah,
But
I don't do that.
you know,
I don't know what they mean when they say if you go low, we go high. I know it's supposed to be like a morality thing, you know, like I'm a person of greater morals, but to me it sounds like, you know, like 69 going wrong.
Earth's crust.
you have to go to the Earth's crust and
Me and you going to help together.
they never say that shit to you again.
Yeah, I think it's important to like love yourself unconditionally, but give these people conditions. Like there's
Absolutely.
conditions to how you are going to be in my space at all. I love myself unconditionally. I will forgive myself, accept certain things, and do all of that stuff. But when it comes to everyone else, it is conditioned.
So you say that you would love yourself conditionally, but aren't you the one that say you have to wake up every morning and say, I love myself? Like, isn't that a condition of your self-love? And that you eat Krispy Kremes and masturbate? Like, isn't these conditions of your love? Plastic surgery? Like, according to y'all have a lot of conditions on your love. And you don't even know what it is. You're just like, what is self-love? I don't know what self-love is, but I'm going to do it unconditionally. Okay.
You know.
Yes.
Yeah. And also send your little girls to Taekwondo and self-defense. It helps. It will help.
Mm-hmm.
These people talk as if they will never have sons. Taekwondo sounds great. Send your kids to Taekwondo. No. What do you mean? Well, self-defense is something that my daughters need. My sons don't need self-defense. Well, he needs to be able to defend himself and others. Yeah, no. This is for my daughters. This is more of a girl thing. Martial arts is really a girl thing. See, I don't think the problem with dark-skinned women is the way that they look. I think that the problem with dark-skinned women is that they were raised by people like you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Go ahead, Patricia. We're going to end on you.
I also think that I also don't want us to like. We are all very beautiful, but I don't want people to walk around and say, "Oh, you're beautiful." What's the policy that's changing? What is the shift?
We're all beautiful. You know, I'm just throwing it out there. Everybody's beautiful, which means nobody's beautiful. But I'm just throwing out. We're all beautiful. But what's the policy that's being changed? What's the policy on beauty that you're changing for me?
In our world that's happening, because you telling me I'm beautiful does not change the fact that a majority of the black men in my life have harmed me in some way because of my dark skin, because of my Afro features. So what do we do to?
Not because of your fat. This is the one in the bottom right. They harm me because of my beautiful dark-skinned features. I'm beautiful. What's the policies that's going to change to make people who don't think I'm beautiful think I'm beautiful? What policies are going to change? Like, I want people who don't think I'm beautiful to treat me as if I'm beautiful. That way, the things I tell myself will match up with the world. So she's married now, which means that she doesn't even respect the opinion of the person she's married to. Like, that should be all you need, but nope. You want policy to change so everybody think you're beautiful. Which means she's probably wondering if she could do better.
Ensure that like your empty words come with something. And I think that's what I want to leave people with, is that when you immediately go to, oh, you're beautiful, when somebody talks about their experience in beauty or in desirability or being exposed by the world.
I'm confused, but that's a common theme here. According to her, people are saying you're beautiful. And when people tell me I'm beautiful, I just say, yeah, but what policies are being changed? But people are telling me that. So basically, the way people react to my looks is a cross between telling me I'm beautiful and smacking the crap out of me for having African features. When I see a black man, one of two things happens. He either tells me I'm beautiful or back of the hand. I don't know which one. I don't know which is going to happen. I don't know if he's going to just, smack me for being dark-skinned or if he's going to call me beautiful. When he smacks me for being dark-skinned, I say, colorism, colorism, oh my colorism. And when he tells me I'm beautiful, I say, well, what policy are you going to change?
When you jump to immediately, it's a cop out. So, what do you do to ensure that you are actively changing the world that we're in to ensure that that person doesn't experience that? Or if you can't always fix them, but what happens with the next person? Not to jump into, there's the joke about how, like, when particularly fat women, when they talk about their weight, people jump to say, "Oh, you're beautiful." I didn't say I wasn't.
Did I say I wasn't? Yeah.
My weight. Yeah.
All the fat ones chimed in. I didn't say I wasn't. I don't need to be told I'm beautiful, even though that's what this whole thing is about, me complaining that people aren't telling me I'm beautiful. I don't need to be told I'm beautiful. I tell myself that, but yeah. I already knew I'm beautiful. I know because I'm fat.
It's two different things. because we have made the assumption that they are unattractive, and we're trying to,
We made the assumption that they're unattractive. It's not an assumption. It's an assessment. It's an assessment. We have assessed that, and she's saying they like she's saying they as if fat women are an external group of people. It's not an assumption, sweetie. It's an assessment.
Give some type of boost to make ourselves feel better. It's not for their benefit. It's to remove the discomfort of the person acknowledging the reality they live in. So, like, when we do that, I want us to consider, what does that mean when we say things like that? When we jump to things like that, whose comfort is it for? And then when we do say things like that, and if we truly mean it, how are we trying to shift the world so that our words, when they mean something, they also come with an action that means something and is beneficial to shifting our desirability in politics?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Chechi. And on that.
Okay. You want an action that's followed by the words, "You're beautiful." How about penis and mouth? How about someone saying you're beautiful and placing it? Like, what action do you want?
No, we're going to close. I want to thank you all for joining me today. Y'all were amazing. Be sure to follow us at the Grapevine TV on Instagram and Twitter. Support our Patreon. We have exclusive content on there, and we will see you next time. Thank you, everybody.
I were great. I know that. I was telling Ashley this a couple of days. I was like, niggas don't like me. Niggas don't find me attractive. Niggas don't fuck with me.
This is the same one. Niggas don't like me. Niggas don't find me attractive, blah, blah, blah. But you just said that if you're going to call me beautiful, then follow up with some stuff. It's so weird.
With me. That doesn't mean that I don't fuck with myself. I have recognized that.
That's like me saying, I could whoop my own ass. Niggas don't like me. They don't want to fuck with me. They don't mess with me. That don't mean that I don't mess with myself. It's like saying I could whip my own ass. People are always beating me up all the time, but I can fight. You know, it doesn't mean like I can't beat me up. Okay. Yeah, all right.
Men tolerate me because of the society that we're in, and it affects how I interact with them.
Well, that's that.
Everything in life is an.
That's that. I can never not hear that. That was just. It was. Yeah. That was a thing. It was said. And yeah, that's the universe we were in. Like, it's one of those things. Like, yeah, never gonna be the same again. I'm never gonna be the same knowing that happened. Like, yeah. I'm be honest. I just like washed most of that conversation out of my brain. Like some tidbits about abstraction and empathy is coming up in my brain and colorism, but generally the thing is washed. Like you got to do this. You just gotta clean house. You got to clean house, or else you will be your brain will be just like so in garbage, kind of like when a stupid song comes out and you gotta just wash it from your brain, or else it'll just plague your soul. You want to know what's a stupid song? H to the is O, V to the is A. I hate it, but it was played everywhere. I was like, oh God. Stop saying that. Stop. It's one of those things that if you don't wash your brain from, it'll plague your soul. That when it was new, that was in my soul. I was like, oh crap. Crap. Stop saying that. It's such crap. But it was out and it was in my brain, and I was stupider for listening to it. No, I stopped listening to modern music, so I didn't even like listen to WAP. Like I listen to oldies and like talk radio from time to time. I don't even like listen to like new stuff. And I know it's not new, but I'm just saying, like, I don't. Yeah, that's none of my business. Does she think we're Atlas? You see, shift the world. Well, yeah, they want to change the world to be like the cocoon that they were raised in, where they could feel beautiful there. So I'm going to talk more about the cocoon in videos to come. Perfect, because it's about to be the 2-hour mark, and I'm about to end this video. But yeah, I don't know how it goes either. I purged my brain from it. I mean, like, and just like I'm purging my brain from this video, I have to, or else, like, I have like a lot of really good stuff in my brain, and that's how I'm able to pull out stories from 5th grade and stuff. Like, I have a lot of really good stuff in my brain, and I don't want to put this in and lose something really good. That's what I don't want to do. So, yeah. I'm going to purge this from my brain, but I will have to come back to the Grapevine in the future. This is a treasure trove. This is how the sisterhood thinks. What in God's name? Hold on. Okay. So I'm not going to do that anymore. whatever that Colombian chick's talking about. I'm done with that. But so yeah, she won't be on the show. Anyway, and if I want another one, I'll just have Marco do it. I thought I'd do one with somebody who don't need a translator, but yeah. Anyway, like to thank the Cash App. Oh, where's my phone? Like to thank the members, Cash Apps and Super Chats, managers and moderators, those who are listening silently, and those who participate in the chat. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out. And remember, this is Game Changer 0010. Oh, wait. Let me see how many likes I got before y'all go.
He was like,
Yeah, that's about right. Let me hit the button my damn self. All right. Did great on the likes today. All right. But could always do better. Go ahead and hit it if you haven't already. And once again, this is Game Changer 00100. Game over. Peace.